Niners just lost the Super Bowl again in overtime. It was a great game. The Niners don't have anything to be ashamed of. They lost to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame head coach, Andy Reid, lost them in overtime by 3. There's no shame in that. It's just that the Niners could have won, should have won, had a 10-point lead, gave it away with a ridiculous third quarter, and have nothing but excuses now. And they can tell themselves, well, you know what? Patrick Mahomes is great. And they can tell their grandkids one day they almost beat Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl twice. They were beating him by 10 points in 2 Super Bowls, and then they lost. They can tell it like that. They can tell the story. We were beating Mahomes by 10 points in 2 Super Bowls, and then we lost. And maybe their grandkids won't hear that part. I'm not saying fire anyone, but let me describe the scene after the game, just so you understand how devastating this loss was to the team, to the players, not to me, to them. Post-game, we don't go in the locker room. There's these podiums, and it's like 2 at a time. Guys come out 1 at a time. Kyle Shanahan comes out first. Typical Kyle, defensive, quiet, whispering. And anytime anyone asks him a direct question about his offense, his decision, he shuts it down with a 1 or 2 word answer, which is frankly what I would call a sore loser. So Kyle did his Kyle thing. Brock Purdy came out, though, and was really devastated, hanging his head, sitting there like this, answering really slowly. He looked like, my interpretation of Brock, he'd lost a lot of confidence. That even he understood that he was sort of living a charmed existence in the first 2 seasons of his career, and this was reality tonight. He's still a good quarterback, but he's not magical. He's not, God's favorite. He lost to Mahomes. There's going to be tough days out there for Brock Purdy. And today, I think he finally realized, like, look, here's reality. I'm not necessarily this, what's the word? Fairy tale quarterback. The fairy tale's over for Brock Purdy, and he knew it. You could see it on his face. George Kittle came out. He's 30 years old. He was devastated. 4 years ago when they lost, George Kittle was energized after the game. I'm coming back. We're going to be here. This doesn't define me. He seemed defeated. Doesn't mean he'll be defeated tomorrow. But 30-year-old guy, you made it back. You said you're going to be back with a vengeance. He said that. Made it back. 4 receiving yards in this game. Not what he probably envisioned him to. I mean, he was a superstar at one point. Not in this game. And after the game, he just looked like an older player who was questioning whether he'd ever make it back. 4 years ago, there was no question in George Kittle's mind. He's coming back. This time, he didn't seem so confident about it. Nick Bosa, devastated, said he couldn't look his teammates in the eye afterward. Christian McCaffrey comes out and has tears in his eyes. This is not the vibe I got from the Niners 4 years ago. That was a younger team. They felt they were going to be back. And they were right. They got another opportunity against the Chiefs, and they blew it. They had another 10-point lead, and they blew it. And you could see it on their faces. There's no more denial. The Niners for years have been in denial. And we should have won the Super Bowl 4 years ago. Could have won this, could have won that. If only Jaquiski Tartt hadn't dropped this, or if Jimmy Garoppolo, or all those excuses are gone. They had McCaffrey. They had Purdy. Their team was healthy. Their team couldn't have been any healthier. They lost Dre Greenlaw during the game, but they were healthier than the Chiefs. They were 2-point favorites. And they still lost. So, I don't know. This team could run it back and make another run next year, but I feel like they really lost some confidence in this game. They didn't get blown out, but they gave it away. And with this coach and this group of players, you got to wonder, will they ever break through? Not only do you have to wonder, they are wondering. You can see it all over their faces. Devastating loss. I'll take some super chats, and then I'll get into my critique of Kyle Shanahan. Josh Wyatt, don't let Kyle off the hook. Oh, I won't. I'm saving that till now. When he kicked the overtime field goal, he gave the Chiefs 4 downs on every try. They would have been better off turning it over at the 8. The moment he elected to kick, he lost. Well, there you go, Kyle. Manny PSF 95 says, trade Debo, Kittle, and Williams. The team couldn't beat the weakest version of the Chiefs. Loser mentality infects those men. We have to rebuild now. Whoa. Finance Bros says, those first 3 drives of the second half were the reason why we lost tonight. Yeah, I asked Kyle Shanahan about that. Hold on, I wrote it down what he said. I asked Kyle Shanahan, what happened in the third quarter when you got away from the run game a little bit? What'd he say? Oh, there were a bunch of different plays. Yeah, there were bad ones that you called. You know the runs that you called in the first quarter that were working? You should have went back to them because the stuff you called in the third quarter sucked. It just did. Thomas Shull, you can't tell me Kyle knew the OT rules by taking the ball first. He didn't. It's a bad week for Kyle Shanahan. Didn't really know the overtime rules. Was slurring his words at the media thing last Monday. I don't know why he was slurring his words, but that's a fact. I'm not going to interpret or guess why, but he did for an hour. Bad look. And then he coached like this in this game. Wasn't prepared. Night tide. We will never win a ring with Kyle. You have the champs on the ropes and then take the ball out of your best player's hands. That third quarter was a prime example of everything wrong with Kyle. Sucks. If his dad were coaching this game, he wouldn't have gone away from Christian McCaffrey. Go back and look at the Broncos' runs through the playoffs when Mike Shanahan was the coach. Look at how many times he gave the ball to Terrell Davis in 97, 98, 99. Didn't mess around. Kyle messed around. El Penguin overtime starts, the Niners run CMC over and over and over again. I started to believe Kyle really changed this time. I feel so foolish. I feel foolish too. We always give him the credit, and then he doesn't do it. I hate yogurt. I like yogurt. Says, need to get rid of Debo. Softer than a Kleenex. Stop the gimmick offense. Rip the Band-Aid off and play a better West Coast offense and trade Armstead, old and always hurt, to fix both lines. Armstead was great in this game, but Debo was terrible. He couldn't get open. He just could not get open. Night tide. Also, this feels like a loss that can lose the locker room. How can you trust and believe in Kyle after this? I mean, it's what he does. You finally, now you're out on Kyle. I've been saying this about Kyle for years. But yeah, I guess it's his pattern now. Gregory Young, once again, Kyle chokes. Tried to get cute and forgot to run the ball. I feel bad for these players. Most of them played their ass off, but Kyle gonna Kyle. We will always be high-level losers under Kyle Shanahan. Yeah, right. Dak gonna Dak. Well, Kyle gonna Kyle, and we saw it again today. Eloy Rodriguez, Eagles and Cowboys head coaches were called out. We need to pressure Kyle. Keep up the great work. I can do that for you guys. I can do that. God bless America. Says Grant, my best friend, Guadalupe Gonzalez, keeps clowning me for the Niners losing to Mahomes in the Super Bowl twice. I'm sad, man. What should I do? Get a better friend. David, they took the ball first in OT. Clown. Josh Wyatt, both third and fours. Kyle coached scared. Both those should have been 4-down territory, and he should have coached like it. He could have had a dozen more chances, and Kyle never would have closed the deal. Whew. Lorenzo Pinto, I knew this would happen again. 2019 equals 2023 Kyle. Railgar 5, where does the banana hands meme come from? A couple years ago, I said that Kyle Shanahan's reputation was 80% his name, and if he had any other name, people wouldn't give him the benefit of the doubt. So I said, what if his name was like Kyle, Banana Hands? And that's where it stuck. And I think he's got to be Kyle Banana Hands for at least 3 months. You got a 3-month sentence of being Banana Hands. No one can call you your real name for the next 3 months. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you lose a Super Bowl like this. Carlos Kiro says, honestly, at this point, why keep Kyle? To lose every time? Just cut bait. Great, he gets you there just to lose every time we get there. He can't win a big game, cut bait, and find another coach. Bill Belichick's available. Philip Wilson says, Kyle doesn't know situational football. Niners better team, but Kansas City has a better coach in Andy Reid. Shannon outcoached once again. Like they say, Kyle gonna Kyle. Bebop 1988 says, I'm not my mother. Kyle, a.k.a. Starsky. Shreddy Murphy says, I'm not even mad at Kyle. CMC early fumble cost us. Oh, okay. Let's talk Kyle, though. He didn't coach well in this game. Niners almost won. It was close, but he didn't do well. His offense was bad, and it underperformed. And it underperformed because of him. Now, Christian McCaffrey fumbled. That's on Christian. But other than that, it's on Kyle. He had any number of run plays that were working in the first quarter. He abandoned them until like the late in the game, fourth quarter. He was up 7 at halftime, got the ball to start the second half, and abandoned the run for an entire quarter, scored 0 points, let the Chiefs back in the game. No reason. What else did he do that was preposterous? Okay, so you have the best running back in football, and you're supposed to be like the play action guru in the NFL because your dad taught you. All your play action plays look just like your runs. How many times did the 49ers go empty backfield in this game? 15? 20? It felt like at least 15. I'd love someone to go back and count. And when I say empty backfield, that means Purdy by himself with 5 wides, which is cool. I mean, the Niners have threats and he's a good quarterback, but you're telling the team, hey, we're not running the ball. And we're not doing play action. It's a drop back pass. Why would you do that? You don't have a great offensive line. You don't have a great quarterback. You have a bad offensive line and a good quarterback. How about stick to your identity? What happened to play action? Remember that? Remember play action? They don't do that much anymore. Not successfully. So once again, in a big game, he overthinks it. Oh, they expect me to run the ball with the best running back in the league, so I'm going to go empty backfield. You think Mike Shanahan would have done that with Terrell Davis in 1998? No, you know how I know? Because he didn't. And you know what he did? Won the Super Bowl. Twice, back to back. Like Andy Reid just did. And it's like, once again, Kyle Shanahan, did he adjust during the flow of the game? No. No, he got worse as the game went on. He was better in the first half than the second half. As opposed to Andy Reid, who was awful in the first 3 quarters, down 10, and then clicks in overtime. Everything he calls works. As opposed to Kyle Shanahan, who's kicking field goals. Hard to have confidence that he can come back to this game and win. What more? Is this team going to be better next year? What more could he have? The Chiefs will be better next year. This felt like the opportunity. That's what you guys told me. No excuses. This is it. The best team the Niners have had in a long time, the weakest Chiefs team they've had in a while, win this game. He didn't. And he'll say, well, Ray McCloud muffed the fumble, muffed the punt, and Patrick Mahomes is really good. No excuses. No excuses. You've lost 3 Super Bowls. He even tried to make the distinction after the game. Well, I've only lost 2 as a head coach. Congratulations for only losing 2 as a head coach. You're right. It wasn't 3. The third that you lost was as an offensive coordinator, but you're right. Only 2 as a head coach. Here's what bothered me about what Kyle did after the game. He should be harder on himself. He's defensive. Brock Purdy wasn't defensive. Kittle wasn't defensive. Bosa wasn't defensive. McCaffrey wasn't defensive. Those guys were beating themselves up on national television. Kyle, you do that. It's your fault. You're the coach. You call the plays. You forgot about the run game. Don't let McCaffrey go up there and cry. You cry. Do something. Show some emotion. Take some responsibility. I have a tough time trusting people who can't ever take responsibility for something they did wrong. We all know you were culpable for this. Own it. Because that doesn't make you look weak or bad. It makes you look strong. Hey, that was on me. XYZ. This is my hand in the loss. And I'm so comfortable in my own skin. I'm so confident in who I am. I can say that. I can hold myself responsible publicly, as opposed to, you're not getting that from me. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm proud of the way I coached. It wasn't my fault. We lost to Mahomes. What are you going to do? That's not inspirational. So what were his sins in this game? Empty backfield galore. Forgot about the run. Why does he always do that? He could have the best running back in the league and he's going to forget about the run. Guess who? I mean, the Chiefs ran for more yards than the Niners in this game, just like they did in the last Super Bowl. That's embarrassing. It's hard to say Kyle's an offensive genius when he can't crack 24 points in a Super Bowl. He can't. He never has. 22 today, 20 last time, and 21 in Atlanta. You might say he scored 28. No, there was a pick six. 21. Is he an offensive genius? Or is he a guy who can beat up on mediocre to bad defenses, and when he faces a good one, he gets exposed? Like, Steve Spagnuolo outcoached him today. Steve Spagnuolo is not going to become a head coach. I mean, no one thinks he's a genius. He's a good coordinator. And he was better than Kyle today. Jim Schwartz was better than Kyle this year. Mike McDonald was better than Kyle this year. How good is Kyle Shanahan really? He's got a great defense. He's got all these weapons on offense. But when he goes against a legitimate top 10 defense, what's it look like? Look bad today. I mean, how do you add? You go from Jimmy Garoppolo to Brock Purdy. You go from Raheem Mostert to Christian McCaffrey. Those are huge upgrades. And you only scored 19 in regulation? You scored 20 in regulation against the Chiefs 4 years ago. What happened? It's you. You're the common denominator. McCaffrey played well. Purdy played well. You didn't coach well. Let's talk Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks coached well for most of the game. You had to give him credit. All the things we said he needed to address, he addressed. The effort wasn't an issue. Run defense, excellent. Gave up less than 4 yards a carry. All you could ask for. Had the right plan. Put pressure on Mahomes. Made it very hard for his receivers to get open. He did everything right until overtime. Until the fourth quarter overtime. Here's where it started to go wrong. The first zone read. Mahomes had two, both picked up big yards. And that's been an issue for the Niners defense for years. They're never prepared to stop that play. Remember, the Rams used that with Carson Wentz a few weeks ago. Relentlessly. In the second half, it worked. The Niners lost. Chiefs only used it twice. It worked. And then on the final drive, 3rd and 1, was it? Of course, Patrick Mahomes scrambles up the middle for a big gain. I mean, that's been an issue for the Niners for years under multiple coordinators. All three. Solid D'Amico and Wilks. And then the final play of the game, wide open touchdown pass to Mecole Hardman on a play that the Chiefs ran in the Super Bowl last year. So frankly, I mean, they were prepared, but they weren't prepared for the end of the game. At the podium, when asked about Mahomes running, Nick Bosa said, yeah, we weren't prepared for the zone read. It's interesting how quickly Nick Bosa throws Steve Wilks under the bus. Yeah, we weren't prepared for that. I.e., the coach didn't have us practicing the right stuff. I thought Wilks was really good in this game. If they scapegoat him and bring in someone else, I'd be ashamed because he was the Niners' best coach in this game. It wasn't Kyle. It wasn't their special teams coach. That guy, forget his name. Brian Schneider. Yeah, he was awful. Wilks was their best coach. But it's embarrassing to lose on a play at the end to a wide open Hardman when the Chiefs did that last year. They did it twice last year. You didn't look at that film? Because that's what people are going to remember about you from this game, Steve. That play. Both of the Chiefs' touchdown catches were to wide receivers who were not covered at all. It's too bad. But really, like, the Niners defense was so good most of the game. The Chiefs' one touchdown drive was not a drive at all. It was because of Ray McCloud. More on him in a minute. But Steve Wilks, he's good, but he's not as good as Steve Spagnuolo. Kyle Shanahan, good, but not as good as Andy Reid. The Niners got outcoached. It matters. Take some super chats and I'll get back to my topics. Eloy Rodriguez says, I finally figured it out. We have our own Kyle McCarthy. We need someone to get us over the hump. McCarthy won a Super Bowl. Cesar Romero says, for the love of God, Grant, please flame Kyle for not running the ball the whole damn third quarter. Flame him until we get Belichick. I asked him about it. I can't wait to post that because he gave such a bad answer. It's like, I know you don't like me, and I know you're mad that I'm going to ask a question critical of you after you lose the Super Bowl, but you got to do better than that because your fans are upset too. Not at me. No, they like me today. Your fans are mad at you. So give a better answer. You're talking to them, not to me. Serenity says, Niners played hard. Kyle Shanahan schemed, failed them. I'm so freaking sick of this complete lack of accountability. Then the owners who just enjoy the publicity and don't give a damn if we win or lose a Super Bowl. Hey, isn't it great that Jed York took that little victory lap before the Super Bowl? That was appropriate. Flock says McKivit's blown coverage on 3rd and 4th and OT blew the games. Young was left unguarded. Whew. KOSEG says little to no runs in the third quarter. McCaffrey had 14 more rushing yards than Mahomes. That's poor coaching. Offensive player of the year at running back, and you keep coming out in empty backfield or shotgun. Yeah, can we talk about the empty backfield? What the hell was that? I was a genius. You are watching a genius at work. The Camper Report. What's up, Benjamin? I'm sick of losing. I tried to convince myself that the Niners would win, and I did. I should have let myself believe. Hey, you got to be cynical like me, okay? I know you're just in high school and stuff, but embrace cynicism because that's life. Adam, 4 NFC Championship losses, 2 Super Bowl losses. Kyle can't win with this all-pro roster. He will never win with this team. Hear that, Kyle? These are your fans. Boxing Fan Times 4 says choke artist refs bailed us out on the first drive in OT with that penalty call on Casey. Made nothing out of the turnovers. Kyle needs an OC out coach again. I'll be his OC. I volunteer. Manny PSF 95 says you have to trade Debo. Stop paying niche gadget players over top linemen. Built to win regular season games against weak NFC Chiefs win trenches. That's true, man. The Chiefs would not pay Debo. They didn't pay Tyreek. They would invest in their offensive line. Niner fan 85 says, I really hope I'm wrong, but I don't think the Niners will be back to the Super Bowl with Purdy since 2000. No quarterback who lost their first Super Bowl was ever back. How many quarterbacks who lost their first Super Bowl went back? Elway, right? Is that it? Dustin the Gale, frustrating getting so close these past few years, but not all the way. KOSEG says, Grant, if you get the chance, please ask the question the fans want to know. Why did you abandon the run and why do you keep doing this in big games? I did. I asked it. Why did you get away from the run game in the third quarter? He says there were a lot of plays. He said he didn't. No, he said he didn't get away from the run game in the third quarter. He said they went 3 and out. Player's fault. Richie, does Jed pull the trigger and fire Kyle Shanahan and hire Bill Belichick, or is Jed just happy with getting to the Super Bowl and not winning? He already said he would have kept Kyle Shanahan if they lost to the Lions in the NFC Championship game. They're friends. Or Jed thinks he's friends with Kyle. They have a good working relationship. Kyle's not going anywhere. Steven Larder. Typical Kyle Shanahan starts well and finishes like a fool. How many times were they 3rd and short with an empty backfield? I'm over this loser. Serenity. 21 Pro Bowlers legit and honorary. Kyle Shanahan managing them to another loss. He did not use our weapons. He did not run. Dang it. Wave 9. I love how the Niners and Ravens were better all season than the Chiefs. Then somehow the Swift script allowed the 2 opposing head coaches to magically go away from what made them win all season. Fake. Oh, it's Taylor Swift's fault that Kyle Shanahan lost his mind. Thank Moody. Papa Phil says. Obi-Wan 49 says on Kyle again. Underperformed is right. Gustavo says this loss is primarily on Kyle, but can we talk about how Kittle said he would have a vengeance but went 2 catches for 4 yards? He did do that. Boxing Fan Times 4 says D showed up. Brock did well. Play calling failed him. I mean, his receivers didn't get open. Kevin F. Kyle Shanahan equals Todd McClellan. Niners equals Sharks. Or they equal the Rockets, right? The Rockets. And the Rockets, will say, we would have been champions. But, we ran up against the freaking Warriors, who were a dynasty. And that's what the Niners will say. We would have been champions. But, we had to face the Chiefs, who were just incredible. Fish and chips. I'd love to play Kyle against poker. Instant win. Sunshine Good says Jimmy G had rookie Debo, aging Sanders. Brock had Ayuk, CMC, Trent. Way better offense. The talk of Brock being best was just bad juju. I told you that this whole Brock Purdy conversation was bad juju. It's not about how good Brock Purdy is. Is he overrated? Is he underrated? Doesn't matter. Win the Super Bowl. Then you have the conversation about how good he is. But this team was so obsessed with him getting the proper credit. Like, okay, you lost the Super Bowl, but he got his proper credit. Michael McCann lost more like blew 2 as a head coach and blew 1 up 21 in the fourth. Time to face a dude as a loser in the Super Bowl. Time to call Bill Belichick. Wow. El Penguin says, every time I saw Purdy sitting alone in that empty backfield, I clenched and prayed it wouldn't be a negative play. Over and over and over again. Josh Wyatt, 3rd and 4. 2 minutes left. Preposterous that he passed and then tried a 53-yard field goal. Best case scenario, you give Kyle Casey 2 minutes with 4 downs. Reed would have acted like it was 2nd and 4 and killed that clock. Josh is all over this. I got to go back and watch this sequence again. I respect you, Josh. Thank you for hammering this. Eloy Rodriguez says, well, Brock Purdy threw 2 Garoppolos, 1 to Ayuk and 1 to Debo. Plumbing God 42 says, if the ownership has any cojones and knows what's best for the team, things must change. You can't trot out the same old team and expect a different result. Yeah. The new punt returner. It's Ray Ray's fault. Papa Phil says, losing Greenlaw hurt bad. It did. It did. Jeremy Price, get Kyle's ass, Grant. Get Fred for not manning up on Kelsey every 3rd down. Get Debo for disappearing. Get me for even dreaming of 30-plus points. I love you, Jeremy. Manny PSF 95 says, Kittle vengeance game was whack. Retire, go wrestle. Oh, God. Hey, man, I like George Kittle. I gave him a handshake afterwards. Stephen Larder, how many times does this loser have to be in the position to win late in the game only to choke it away? 7. Let's go Chargers. Oh, wow. Fish and chips. Do you think Jim Harbaugh got a kick out of what happened tonight? I think he did. Fish and Chips says, off to Cabo like nothing happened. Happy days. Can I come? JP Devlin, why did we defer an OT? Why did we defer an OT? Let us control the end. Because Kyle's genius. Night tied. And they're raising ticket prices next season, even though we won absolutely nothing to warrant it. Gotta love that. Bebop. Let's talk about the important questions. Who isn't invited to Cabo? Me. Ali the GOAT says, we had the workbook in our hands. All we had to do was go for it on 4th and 4 for the win. Shaking my head, I choose to kick instead of going for it. We had the win. Oh, the workbook. Adam K, devastating loss. I wanted my kids to see the Niners win just one Super Bowl like I saw 3. Saddest day. Has it occurred to anyone that Jed York wants so bad to be Eddie DeBartolo? So bad. But he's not. And he's forging his own legacy. Eddie was undefeated in the Super Bowl, 5-0. York is defeated in the Super Bowl, 0-3. You want to be like your uncle? Here you go. Wave 9, Grant knows it's fake. Money rules, bread and circus. Okay. Conspiracy theory guy. KOSEG says, how do you think it would go if players just ran what they knew would work instead of Kyle's stupid plays? In my Jimmy G voice. You'd love to see a coach just be like, a player just be like, shut up. I'm calling the plays. But I don't think Brock Purdy has that kind of license yet. Ryan Mack, Ray McFumbles gave the Chiefs momentum. True. Is that his new name? Hype Flick says Niners are the Dodgers of the 2020 Disney ring. They're the Rockets. Ricardo Rico says, should he use Mason to pound the rock in the red zone? Josue Ramirez. And Kyle Shanahan's like, he's freaking Mike D'Antoni, is he not? Not going to win one. Josue Ramirez says, I respect your honest game pick. Hurts me like I picked the Chiefs. Vince, honestly done watching football. Waste of time and energy, unnecessary hype for the same result. Oh, come on. M. Karma bit Kyle in the ass for messing with Trey, the child of God. Oh, let's talk about Purdy. Let's give an honest assessment of Brock Purdy. He didn't turn the ball over. That was good. His receivers were struggling to get open. He was going against a really good defense. That's all true. But when you keep him in the pocket, you can bat down his passes. That's an issue for him in every game. Passes batted down, tip passes. But that's not even the biggest issue. To me, what's interesting is he had a Jimmy Garoppolo moment. No one's talking about it. Like, he had Deebo Samuel open in the end zone for a touchdown, and he overthrew him. When Jimmy did that, people crushed Jimmy because he makes a lot of money. Brock, it's like, let's pretend that didn't happen. Now, he got hit on the play, true. Deebo was wide open. He made the throw. He overthrew him. So he had opportunities. He threw one touchdown pass. It was cool. But Jennings threw the other one. It was a very modest game from Brock Purdy. Conservative, safety first game. and he lost. And now you're wondering, like, is this the guy who's ever going to win a Super Bowl? Because usually if a guy gets to the Super Bowl and loses the first time, he's not going back. We saw Jalen Hurts last year, remember? He had a great year. Great year. Went to the Super Bowl, played really well. Lost. Got a lot of money. What's he look like now? He reverted. Not an all-time, not an elite quarterback. What's Brock? Was he elite in this game? No. Was he elite in the NFC Championship game? No. Was he elite against the Packers? No. He had some really good games against some NFC teams this year. And he is better than Jimmy Garoppolo. But how much? Because in the biggest game of the season, 19 points in regulation, 22 total. That's Jimmy stuff. If you can keep Brock Purdy in the pocket, he's little. He's at his best when he's rolling around, rolling left, rolling right, no one in front of his field of vision. He was so crushed after the game. I'm so used to football players, athletes, professional athletes being unfazed after losses. So much inner confidence. Not this team. It's a tough way to lose. I wonder if they had gotten blown out, if it would have been different. But having it in your hands again and then letting it go. Yeah, Brock's the quarterback for this team. You're not bringing in anyone else next year, but do you really want to give him top of the market money in a year? Are you sure? I'm not sure. He needs to keep proving that he's worth it because he didn't play like it in the playoffs, not just today. In the playoffs this year, he played like a competent quarterback who had moments. But he didn't play like a franchise quarterback, like a Super Bowl winner, like a special guy, like a game changer. He played like a game manager, which is what he is. Sorry. Very good game manager, but not good enough. He had Debo open for a touchdown. Did he not? He did. Debo didn't play well, but that should have been a touchdown. Niners need to replace Ray McCloud. I'm sorry. It didn't work. It's got to go. You can't have that guy in your locker room next year because when everyone looks at his face, they're going to remember him muffing a punt and the Chiefs scoring a touchdown in a game that they won by 3. Got to go. He's had some nice plays, Ray, but they never really integrated him in the offense. And as a returner, he mostly just lets the ball go through the end zone as a kick returner and catches fair catches. He can't even do that anymore. Gotta go. I'm not saying scapegoat him. It's all his fault, but they could do better. Draft the guy. He doesn't give you anything. If all you want is a guy to wave his arm and make fair catches, it ain't Ray. Special teams really hurt the Niners in this game. And he had a 7-point mistake. I don't really have much more to say about that than people don't forget. And let's not let Ray McCloud go under the radar. He needs to go. Sorry. It's a brutal business, but you don't do much for the team. And now you're making a negative impact. Got to go. Thank you for your service. Maybe you'll find somewhere else that you can go on another team, but not this Super Bowl winning team. Not the Super Bowl contending team. I take it back. Can't have liabilities on this team. Can't trust Ray McCloud. Jake Moody. Give him credit. He kicked a 53-yard field goal and a 55-yard field goal in a Super Bowl. That's great. High degree of difficulty. He also missed an extra point. Got it blocked by 2 people, not 1. Low kick. That's his 5th miss in the last 4 games. 5th miss in the last 4 games. He's got to go. I'm sorry. Can't trust this guy. I don't care that he has a strong leg and he can bang it in from 55 yards and 57 yards. He can't hit extra points consistently. Gotta go. And don't draft another kicker in the 3rd round. Don't do that. That's not how you get kickers. Free agent market. Someone proven. Preferably someone who's been in the playoffs before. That's what you got with Robbie Gould. He was proven. Do that. You're a veteran team. You can't mess around with young kickers who aren't mentally ready. That's Jake Moody. Trade him to the Texans. Trade him to Arizona. Get another kicker. Sorry. He's not good enough. Because again, he misses an extra point. If he makes it, the Niners are up 4 at the end of regulation, and the Chiefs can't just kick a field goal and put it in overtime. No, they'd have to score a touchdown, which they may not have been able to do. So of all the people we're scapegoating for this game, Moody's right there. 2 dudes on special teams. McLeod, Moody, Wilkes, Shanahan, Purdy. You know who wasn't responsible for this loss? Juwan freaking Jennings. What a player. This guy is underutilized. And I don't want to toot my own horn, but I do. Because I'm quality control. And I wrote it before this game. The X factor is Juwan Jennings. Go back and look it up. When Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, and McCaffrey are all in the field, Kyle forgets about Jennings. Also, the opposing team forgets about Jennings. He's wide open. Trust him. Kyle listened. He trusted him. He featured Jennings. And Jennings stepped up. Way more than Debo. Debo wasn't ready for this moment. Jennings was. Jennings going to be a restricted free agent. Someone's going to give him a lot of money, and he's going to deserve it. They called a pass for Jennings. You may not know this, but Jennings played quarterback in high school. He can throw. And when he went to Tennessee, he would do stuff like that as well. He'd be in the Wildcat. He'd throw passes. They saved it for the Super Bowl? Respect to Juwan Jennings. He would have been the Super Bowl MVP had the Niners freaking won, but they didn't. And now, I mean, they're in a position where they've given out so much money to players. If a team makes him a generous offer, can the Niners match it? I don't know. They may have to replace Juwan Jennings this offseason, and he's just coming into his own. Can you imagine him starting for another team and actually getting consistent targets? He might just be really good. So shout out to Juwan Jennings for having a career-defining game on a big stage. Dre Greenlaw. Ooh, this was really hard to watch. He was celebrating on the sideline, jumping up and down, and popped his Achilles. That's so cruel. Didn't that kicker do that when we were kids? When I was a kid, Grammatica, jumping around, celebrating something, pops his Achilles, never the same. I'm not saying Greenlaw won't be ever the same, but man, he's had bad luck with injuries. And for it to happen in February, mid-February, you got to wonder, is he going to be back next year? Is he going to miss some of the season next year or all of it? And if he does, who's starting next to Fred Warner? Oren Burks? I don't think so. Maybe D. Winters or Jalen Graham or someone they drafted this year. But all of a sudden, weak side linebacker is a position the Niners have to address. Right? They do. Hold on. I want to put one more in here. Oh, I'm tired. Just kidding. I'm not going to sleep tonight. So where does this team go now? It's an older team. They've been together for 4 years. More than that. Are they just going to run it back? Are they going to be better next year? Will the 49ers be better next year? Hard to see that. McCaffrey will be a year older. Armstead will be 30. Kittle will be 30. Hargrave will be 30. Purdy could be better. Ayuk could be better. Kittle won't be better. Debo won't be better. Trent Williams won't be better. Nick Bosa, I mean, he couldn't be worse. Nothing against Nick Bosa, but this was a down year for him. Greenlaw could miss the season. Fred Warner won't be better. Javarius Ward won't be better. Lenore could be better. Jair Brown could be better. Talanoa Funga's coming back. So there's some silver linings here, but I don't, unless they just kill the draft, which they might. They haven't in a while. They're not going to be making big moves in free agency. They're not going to be making a lot of trades. They're kind of stuck with this team unless they decide they want to trade Debo or something. So, what's the next move for this team? Last time they went to the Super Bowl, the following year they were 6-10. How do the Niners prevent that from happening? How do they come back stronger next year? Teams that lose the Super Bowl genuinely don't come back stronger. Look at the Eagles this year. They fell apart completely. Is that going to happen to the Niners next year? Are they the next Eagles? Or are they going to tweak their formula, change something about their team, come back and win? Seems like unless they're willing to get a new head coach, they're going to be high-level losers for a while. Because Brock Purdy's good, but he's not like Patrick Mahomes. He can't transcend Kyle Shanahan's pattern, his problems. He can't. Mahomes could, but Kyle didn't want Mahomes. He wanted Purdy. So we got Purdy. Still have Wilkes. You'll still have most of your good players, but I don't know. Next year's going to be rough. It's going to be a tough schedule. And this is an older team that plays 20 games a season. They had a lot of injury luck this year. This was the healthiest this team has been in years. Remember, we always talked about how this team can't stay healthy. They did this year, still lost. And Rams are coming. Seahawks will be better. Cardinals will be better. It's hard to imagine the NFC being any worse than it was this year. Big missed opportunity. Now, they'll be contenders next year. I wonder, they might be the Super Bowl favorites right now. If we look on BetUS, I'm not sure. I'll check tomorrow. Still. So exhausting. They put so much effort into getting this far. Now they got to climb up the mountain again. It's exhausting. And they're old. Take the rest of the super chats. Adam, what are your thoughts about Kyle not calling a timeout in OT with 6 seconds left? Allow the defense to set right before Mahomes TD, the receiver was wide open. That would have been smart. Sensitive young man says Kyle is partying with Lil Wayne right now. Somehow I don't think so. Somehow I don't think Kyle's going to do that this year. 2 Socks 42 says Kyle's allergic to accountability and Jed lets him avoid it. A top-down problem. 49ers spend more time making friends with subordinates than leading and winning championships. Does everything my MA in org leadership tells you not to do. I'm telling people who can't ever take accountability for their mistakes, I can't trust them. If you're always the kind of person who deflects in every situation, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. If you're constantly looking for someone else to blame, I can't trust you. I can't. And I know Kyle doesn't need me to trust him, but I think it's a character flaw. A human being needs to be able to acknowledge when he or she messed up. Because acknowledging you messed up one time doesn't mean you're a mess up. It doesn't mean you're worse. You're not incriminating yourself. You're actually making yourself look better. Got to be able to do that as a person. Otherwise, go to therapy. Talk about why you can't do that. West Bay Niner Talk says, that's 3 Super Bowls, Grant. I'm torn, man. Torn! Can't even explain the hurt. I'm sorry. Josh Wyatt, who is incensed. My point is they could have run more. They could have not muffed a punt. They could have erased all the mistakes. There still would have been a critical moment at the end where Kyle would need to close it out. He never would have. I can't disagree with you, Joshua. I think you're right. Check out right tackle last play at OT. Quite startling. Okay, I will. Andrew, didn't capitalize on turnover. That's on Kyle Shanahan. David, Purdy mid, overthrowing touchdowns, 4 to 10 on third down, 20 minutes for a first down. It's just John, okay? Says, I feel bad for Jennings. He had a great game. A great game. Andrew Bowe says, Jawan Jennings deserved a win here. He did. Marcus King says, that not Ray's fault on that punt, hit the CB foot. Okay. C Ghost 73 says, Purdy has been at his best when he is freewheeling. Seemed like tonight he was discouraged from doing so. Niners were playing not to lose, not to win. Okay. MD 2020 says, Ray didn't muff the punt. The ball touched Luter Jr.'s leg, and that's why. Ray tried to jump on the ball last second. Keep Ray. All right, sorry, Ray. Steven says, Ray McMuffles is a clown. Ooh. Generic name says the Niners can't win a Super Bowl with Shannon as a head coach. There's only one overarching issue with this team, and it's Shanahan's rigidity. Unable to see anything outside his scheme. Man, I wasn't expecting Kyle Shanahan to lose his fan base today, but I guess that's what happens when you lose 3 Super Bowls. He'll say it's 2. Official Tone B19 says he's officially banana hands, shaking my freaking head. New coach needed. Crusher 831 says, will we ever learn to just run the ball? No. Adam K says, every player took accountability except banana hands. True. On the goal line says, when can we just admit Mahomes is great? No one has admitted that. No one thinks Mahomes is great, man. Sorry. Okay, I got to go. It's 11 o'clock in Vegas, and I've been working all day, and I didn't lose the Super Bowl. I covered the Super Bowl. I think I did. I think I did pretty good today, and now I'm done. It's a long week. I got to treat myself. So I'm not celebrating the Niners loss, but I'm not mourning it either. I'm celebrating being alive and being here and being done. And you know what? Here's to doing it again next year, because if they go to the Super Bowl next year, it's in New Orleans, which is top 3 favorite city for me in the country. Nothing against Vegas. I like New Orleans. Vegas is cool, though. But New Orleans is better. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow. Sorry, guys. They lost the Super Bowl. I'm so sorry. But you know what? I still like you. You're still a good person. You didn't lose tonight. In fact, you got a little bit better as a person. Celebrate yourself tonight. Okay? This doesn't reflect on you. It reflects on Kyle Shanahan and only Kyle. Treat yourself. Life is too short. It just hurts, says Waruna. It does. But it doesn't have to. You know who's not hurting right now? You know why? Because I stopped rooting for this team 18 years ago. It's a good choice. It's a good choice. See you guys.